Hello everyone, Caleb from Bailey Hill Build. Exciting update here. This is a huge step. The concrete has been poured and the saw cuts have been placed. It was a long weekend, exhausting. The 4 days leading up to the pour were exhausting. It was like 92 degrees and 95% humidity. So we're glad this is over. But I have to give thanks to many people that helped. We hired a crew of 4 guys from a local construction company that I did work with in my architecture days, and they did an awesome job. Obviously couldn't have done it without them. My girlfriend, Morgan, my dad, and her dad, Herb, and her brother-in-law, Angel. So there's been a lot of people involved on this, and certainly a big day when you have to pour 56 yards of concrete. So I just want to run everyone through kind of what we learned. I will first off say I think a monolithic slab is awesome because once you pour, you're done. You pour one time and now we can move on. As you can see, we've got the saw cuts placed. I rented that tool from a local equipment rental place down in Addison, and worked really well. We had a couple casualties. The power trowel took out some conduits here, which isn't a big deal because these are placed right in a wall stud, so it really isn't a huge deal because my wires are going to come up through there anyways. I'm going to drill a hole with a hole saw through the bottom plate of the wall stud. But when the power trowel hit those, it also took out the cold water line, so I got to chip that down carefully around that and probably have to use like a shark bite fitting coupling there, something I can just press over the line. But other than that, it went pretty smooth. Something to be very careful of. You see that bow? We had a stake give out on us, and this is what I would stress the most. You have to drive those stakes way down into the ground. I mean down there. And if you don't, that concrete, it will blow your forms right out and make a big mess. The alternative is to add gravel all the way up to the top of the form, or just fill material. That will keep that from pushing. I ran out of time, to be honest. I thought these forms would have been okay. I mean, here's another spot it bowed out a little bit. I'm not real concerned with that, people, because my edge of stud aligns with edge of concrete, and then I have 5/8 of sheathing on the outside of that, and then another 2 inches of foam. So really, you'll never even see that, and it'll be backfilled and flashed and so forth. So you'll never even know if that has a little bow in it. As you can see, we got our anchor bolts in. Rule of thumb, 1 foot from the corners, and I did every 5 foot on center. I think code is 6 foot. You know, they're not much money, folks, so $1 a piece. Those are the 8-inch long by 1/2 inch J bolts. When you set those, I think it's nice to use a little template. We have a little 2.5 inch block my dad made, and we set it right against the form, and then we put the J bolt right against that little block, and then we left the nut on and tapped it with a hammer until the nut hit the top of the board, so they're all consistent height. And the main thing with these is make sure you get them level, plumb, because otherwise you got a crooked J bolt. It's hard to drill your hole in your bottom plate, and then it doesn't really fasten well to the bottom plate of the wall, which these things are meant to hold your walls down. So take some time on that. Another thing I do different, these water lines coming up through, I would extend my 1-inch conduit sweeps up a little bit higher. Maybe just buy some 1-inch conduit and make sure the belt end is facing up, which it should be with a 90 sweep, and just cut like a 3 or 4 inch piece, nipple, and just shove down in there. I thought that those would have been high enough. You know, that's something that I wish I could redo, but you live and you learn. Not a big deal. These PEX lines are fine. We charged them up with pressure and we're all good. I'll show that too real quick. Here's our sweeps. This one got away from us a little bit and got shoved with the concrete, so I'll shove that back to the wall. They have a little flex to them, so you can move them back. Here's the setup that I had. I just used PEX stainless cinch clamps. This fitting I bought at Lowe's, right in the radiant heat section. Has a little valve stem and a gauge. I bought this 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch NPT to 1/2 inch PEX adapter. Tee them all off, hook them all together, and then you just simply add air to pressurize this whole loop. So that way you know if you have a leak, and when you're doing your saw cuts, if you hit one of these, you'll know, because you'll lose all your air pressure. And you should do this before the pour. Wet concrete, something happened, the air pressure would blow bubbles in the concrete and you can immediately see it and correct it before the concrete hardens. You do not want to be getting out here with a jackhammer. There's the saw cut. Yeah, like I said, I rented a tool for that. My design and thought on the saw cut: every inside corner, at minimum 2 directions. So here we have 2 directions going this way. Actually I have 3. Let me give you a different example. Over here on this inside corner, I just went perpendicular. Here, those will crack on the inside corner every single time. Rule of thumb, 10 foot by 10 foot centers, minimum or maximum spacing, I'm sorry. So no greater than 10 feet. So, you know, I kind of just measured these out and everything's less than 10 feet. The reason for the diagonals is an aesthetic design. I am going to do epoxy in this main 30 by 30 section. And I thought that doing a saw cut and a design cut at the same time would be pretty neat. They make accessories you can fill the saw cuts in. Schluter makes something. There's little zinc strips you can buy, and basically for terrazzo tile, but you can do it for concrete. And really sharp look. You can epoxy to it, you can add tile, whatever. And that's kind of what we're going for. We also might just grind this down a little bit, clean this surface up, and stain and seal it. It's really cool looking floor already. So really haven't made up our minds yet, but the options are out there. And you know, honestly, more saw cuts the better, in my opinion. It doesn't hurt to add more saw cuts. So these are 4 foot by 4 foot centers, and I went from the corners, and then I just took a square, 2 foot square. I squared it off and measured out 4 feet, marked it, did the same thing on the other side. So all of these are running perfectly square with each other in parallel. Other than that, again, everything went smooth. The main thing is to really brace these walls. And 56 yards of concrete is a lot. It's a long day. Hire a crew to do it. It'll be well worth the money. That's something that I couldn't do by myself, or even with family and friends. It's just, concrete can really get away from you if you don't know what you're doing, especially if it's a hot summer. So we were fortunate. We had 72 degrees and cloudy that day, and concrete cured perfectly. We're keeping water on this thing constantly. Keep water out for 2 weeks. Helps it cure slower, which makes a stronger concrete, less cracks. Just, you know, as it cures slower, it doesn't have any ability to, that different forces within the concrete as it's drying won't cause that cracking or tension within the concrete. So really important that you do that if you can. Sometimes you can't, and it is what it is. That's why you put the saw cuts in, and hopefully they crack right on those. So concrete will crack, just try to make it crack in the areas you want it to crack at. Another thing on saw cuts, if you can lay out your saw cuts under walls, that would be ideal. That way you don't see anything in a house. The sections that are not diagonal are going to have carpet or laminate flooring for us. That's why I didn't go hog wild with the diagonals. That's just going to be covered anyhow. So that's my reasoning there. All in all, it was a good day, and I am very glad that this is over. It was a ton of work, a lot of sweat, a lot of Gatorade and water, a couple beers, and now I can enjoy a beer and looking at that view. Not too shabby. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It's been a while since I posted a video. You know, I love doing this. I really love construction. I grew up with my dad doing it and with others, and I got into the design side of things, and I do miss that, but I can't sit at a desk all day and not get dirty. So I don't know, for me, anyone can do it. I don't have a prior experience building a house, people, nor pouring concrete like this. I look at YouTube, I Google it, I ask questions to people that know what they're doing, and this is where we are. It's pretty awesome that, you know, you put your mind to something, you can achieve it. So it's doable, and I'll be very honest with everyone on cost of this right here. $10,600 in concrete, excuse me, $10,200 in concrete, $2,400 to pour it. So it's that little under 13,000. So yep, that's a big chunk of money, but I'm pretty confident this is going to be here for a long time. These footers are so thick, this thing's never going anywhere. So probably I'm looking at $25,000-ish to date. Pretty happy with that. I know a lot of people that are doing other types of foundation systems and hiring it out, and they're at 60 to 70 before they even see a stick of lumber. So be glad to talk to more people about this style of system. You know, shoot me a message and I'll send you everything that I have researched. The New York State Building Code, I can send you the snippets if you're running into problems with your local code officials. I can even put you in touch with some of my friends in the architecture field that are licensed architects that can help you fight that fight. So a lot of people don't like these monolithic slabs in terms of code officials. It's completely legal. I don't see this slab moving, folks. You insulate it and you get this place heated, even if you didn't heat it, this isn't moving. The idea of it, it's floating, it's strong. Even if it moves, it's not going anywhere. So the main thing is you're not building on fill. So don't build on fill, build strong, build smart, and do quality work, and you'll be good. All right, thanks for watching and have a good one.